Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're really getting into the escalating trade tensions around semiconductors, a huge topic. Our sources are mainly looking at recent statements from former U.S. President Donald Trump about new tariffs and, importantly, how a key player, Malaysia, is reacting.
Exactly. This deep dive is, I think, really about understanding the strategy behind these potential tariffs. It's about supply chains. It's about national interest and how countries like Malaysia have to sort of navigate this really carefully.
That diplomatic dance.
Well, I want to pull out the core intentions here and, the careful responses.
Okay, let's unpack it then. So the core thing is former President Trump stating he intends to impose new tariffs, specifically on steel, semiconductors, computer chips.
Right.
And the goal he stated is pretty clear.
Yeah.
Get companies making this stuff in the U.S.
Yeah, on U.S. soil.
He even mentioned a specific, like 100% tariff on Intel chips exported to the U.S. That's quite a statement.
It absolutely is. And what's really interesting is the leverage implied there. He said tariffs would start low initially, almost like a grace period.
Right, giving them a chance.
Exactly, a chance to come and build factories in the U.S. But, and this is the key part, he warned if they don't.
Then what?
Well, then they face very high tariffs. High enough, he suggests, to make it unprofitable to produce these things elsewhere.
Wow. So it's really putting the pressure on.
Immense pressure. And it really raises the question, how do other countries react when facing that kind of direct economic threat?
Which brings us neatly to Malaysia. I mean, they're a huge hub for semiconductors, right?
Huh.
Especially in assembly and testing.
Oh, absolutely critical. A major node in that global network.
So their Minister of Investment, Trade and Industry, Zafrul Aziz, basically said Malaysia needs to deal very cautiously with these potential U.S. tariffs.
Cautiously is definitely the operative word.
It sounds like a really delicate balancing act for them.
It is. And connecting this to the bigger picture, their cautious stance just highlights how interconnected everything is. You can't just pull one thread,
Right. It affects the whole web.
Prime Minister Zafrul did express some optimism. He hopes for a solution that works for both countries.
So signaling a preference for negotiation.
Definitely. Diplomacy first. And an interesting detail he mentioned was about transit trade. Apparently, re-exporting other countries' products through Malaysia to the U.S. isn't seen as a big issue in talks with Washington.
Huh. So they're focused specifically on where the value is actually added, not just where it ships from.
Seems like it.
Yeah.
Which suggests, these aren't just broad sweeping tariffs maybe, but potentially quite targeted. It shows the kind of nuanced talks happening behind the scenes.
Okay, so boiling this down. What does it all mean for you, the listener? Whether you're into global economics or tech or just how countries, get along or don't. Well, these statements clearly show a push towards national self-reliance, especially in critical tech.
A big push. Deglobalization trends, maybe.
Perhaps. But it also really throws a spotlight on just how complex it is to untangle these supply chains that have been built up over decades.
Immensely complex. And the ripple effects could be huge, affecting costs, availability.
Yeah, the price of your phone, medical equipment, everything, really. It's a high-stakes situation.
It really is. This deep dive shows how one country's industrial policy can send waves across the entire global trade system. And it makes you think beyond just tariffs, what other tools might countries use to secure these vital tech supply chains?
Right. Things like investment rules, alliances, maybe even export controls.
All of the above, potentially.
And here's a final thought. Could this kind of, protectionist push, while aiming for security, actually end up hurting innovation in the long run?
That's the paradox, isn't it? Limiting global collaboration might slow down the very progress you're trying to secure.
Definitely something to keep an eye on as this all continues to play out.